I don't always DNF a book, but when I do, it's usually part of a series. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back today to talk about being quitters. We're just going to all be quitters and just quit reading these long series that we're not having any fun with. Not really. It's a little more in detail than that. At least I'm going to try. But with this is I'll always say I'm never quick to DNF a book, but I will DNF a series if I'm not enjoying it anymore. And I've seen a lot of this lately. People being like, oh, I'd really like to read this new release, but I can't because I have to read this book in this series I've been reading for 20 years or whatever. And I'm like, whoa. You have to? No one's obligated to read anything, are they? At least I don't think that they should be. So it really got me asking the question, when is it okay to abandon a book series? I think it's a question I get a lot. I hear so many people like, hey, it's like I watched this season of this TV show, and I'm on like season 8, and it's terrible. But I've been with it this long, I can't just quit now. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I believe in you. We're going to talk about today about some reasons I think, hey, no matter how popular a series is, no matter who's doing it, who's saying that you have to do it, any of those things at all, it's okay, guys. I'm going to talk about some reasons why I think it's quite okay if you want to quit reading a series if you're not enjoying it anymore. And that's the first point I have here, loss of enjoyment. This is the big one. It feels like this is the really, really easy one. I always say, read what makes you happy. Clearly, that's what we should be doing here. No, you have to read in school and things like that. And when you feel like you're treating your fun, your own free time, as you have to read this, you treat it like an assignment, of course, you're not going to be having any fun anymore. Look, I enjoy a series that maybe has gotten a little long in the tooth. Sometimes I can start to question if it's really, really worth it. But the ones I feel like I'm really all in, and we're like in double-digit numbers of books, obviously they're doing something right. But if you find yourself feeling like it's a chore to continue, guys, you're not having fun anymore. And in the end, reading should be fun. It really should. And I think there's plenty enough out there for you to find something that's going to make you feel like you're having a good time, and you're not doing this because, your teacher's going to give you an F if you don't. So a loss of enjoyment's got to be the easy one. I think all of us at some point struggle with maximizing our potential. If that sounds like you, I recommend you check out today's sponsor, which is ℎ𝕬𝕤𝕤𝕤. Can't tell you how many messages I get per week saying, Mike, I wish I could get as much done in a week as you do. I wish I had the time and the motivation for success that you seem to have found. Well, guys, let me tell you, success, it doesn't happen by chance, it happens by strategy. And ℎ𝕬𝕤𝕤𝕤 offers career coaching from the comfort of your own home, be it live video sessions or text and email. Are you struggling with your job, or you're tired of being overlooked for promotion? Well, ℎ𝕬𝕤𝕤𝕤 has certified professionals that can help. Their coaches use their training to collaborate with you, drawing on your own values and experiences. They can help you clarify your challenges and opportunities, develop a plan, and hold you accountable for your goals. Career success isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing journey that requires strategy, action, and accountability. So head on over to ℎ𝕬𝕤𝕤𝕤/Mikes or hit the link in the description below and use the promo code Mikes to get your $50 credit, guys, and get started. But series has gone on too long. That's another one here. I think we all, as fantasy fans, or sometimes sci-fi fans, maybe you're just into like those monster of the week crime thrillers, things like that. I think you can say, lots of series are starting to stay past their shelf life. This is just the sad truth. An author finds a series that really works for them, they want to keep going back to the well. I understand that. There's no problem with that. Problem is, I don't know if it's the author or if it's the publisher, or if what it is, they're just trying to squeeze every last drop out of an established fan base. And I'm like, look, hey man, if it's working, get your money. But as a reader, I'm like, yeah, maybe we should try something different, or it's okay to end your series. Like I was just talking recently about Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga, the author has come out and said, hey, we're writing the final chapters now. You're going to end it. That's incredible. There's so many people thought I was taking a shot at George. I'm not taking a shot at George. I mean, you could look at it that way. But with this, it's like, it's okay to end your series, especially if you have other great ideas. You never know until you try them. So it's okay, if you want to end that series and try other things. But, sometimes it's just, I don't think when the page count, the word count is not justifying the story, yeah, as a reader, bounce. It's time to go. It's no reason to stay in it just because you've been doing it for so long. So a lot of series, most series I feel like do go on well past their shelf life. I can't think of very many series where I'm like, oh yeah, it was a banger right up to the end. It was always like, well, book 6 or 7, hey, book 7 through 10. It gets to a point where it's like, let's just move along because this series might not be really worth it to kind of finish. A big one for me and I can see this with several series that I've kind of quit over the past few years, is that you've changed. We change as people. Our likes and dislikes change. The more you read of a particular genre, your likes and dislikes will change. Because I think of things that I liked even before I started this channel, and I look at them now and I'm like, I don't know if that would work for me the same way anymore. So lots of these series take years to complete, and they have long breaks between each book as well. And I think that our reading habits, change like day and night. They really do. At least for me, I think about several times where I feel like I've outgrown an author or a story as I've gotten older, as a series has taken forever to get longer. Maybe you found more things that are more to your liking. Like I have several people who would do some of these read-alongs with me, and they'll be like, I'm thinking back to that, and I was like, I feel like if I went and read that now, I don't know if it would click with me the same way. I've had a lot of people tell me that about like *Mistborn*, things like that. I don't know. That's the one I go back to. Is like, I loved *Mistborn* when I read it. Would I feel the same about today? I don't know. I've read so many new things since then that I don't know how I feel about it. It doesn't always work that way, because I talked about this recently when should you reread books? I was rereading Chronicles of Narnia, and I thought, I'm not going to like this. This was something I really liked as a kid, and I actually really thought it was so really charming, and I enjoyed it. So it's not always the case, but sometimes, we do change as readers, and you get more and more into some heavier adult fantasy maybe, or heavier themed science fiction stuff, and you go back to those things that you used to like, and you say, it's just not enough. It just feels like just really, really light and airy, and maybe that's just not what you're wanting anymore, because we all do change. It's the fact of the matter. I think for me, as a character first reader, the characters just aren't the same anymore. That's a big one when a series can tend to go on too long, be it just predictability or continuity errors, or it just straight up character assassination where you're like, that doesn't feel like the same character that would have made this decision. There are series, I'm not going to name names because it gets people livid when I did. There are some series where I'm like, okay, I think the series went on so long because this one character that has been like this for like 9 books now, they're acting completely different. This feels like someone wearing like their face or something. This has got to be an imposter, because that character would have never made this decision. I understand characters change over the course of time, but when you've spent 9, 10 books with a character and then they just start acting completely different, I think maybe the author changed, or hey, we changed. But it's one of those where the characters just don't feel the way that they used to, and it's not because character growth. That can really, really hurt it for me. So if the arc's a little uninspiring or not believable, that could be a good time for me to say, okay, well, I was staying around for the characters, and if the characters aren't going to be the same anymore, yeah, I'll see you later. But a lot of times, some series, I feel like the character focus will shift. Like you will start the series like Neil Schusterman and Brent Weeks, very good at this. Hey, we're going to start the series and give you these characters you really, really like. But then we're going to introduce these new characters. And you know what? I like writing that character so much, I'm going to write about that character the rest of the way. And those ones you fell in love with, they'll just be background characters now. I hate that. I'm like, hey, you can introduce new characters. You can flesh out your world. Don't abandon those characters that brought me to the show. That's what I'm here for. And if they start to do that, So if you stop actually caring. Like you just care, like you can look at this story and say, I could care less if this character lives or dies right now. You just become indifferent on the character. Yeah, that's when I'm ready to just leave a series, no questions asked, and I don't even feel bad about it. I'm not going to think about you tomorrow. I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to call you the next day. That's how I feel about it. I don't even feel bad when that happens, because when you ruin characters in a story, that's the cardinal sin for me. I cannot get past it. So, hey, again, I'm okay with looking. Hey, I can look at book 1, look at book 9, and say, wow, look how this character grew and how they changed over the course of the story. Yeah, sure, I can do that. When out of nowhere, there's like, did they just go schizo on me? I don't understand what just happened here. That's when it's a little too much for me. So yeah, that's a big one. As is obligation. I think if you're feeling obligated to read something. Now look, I know on this platform, we all have like a big community here. Everybody's just about as plugged into either a BookTube channel or a Discord, some kind of reading community. And I know that FOMO is a big thing. Look, for me as a creator, it's hard. It's hard when I see a lot of other creators all kind of coalescing around this one series and getting together and having chats and discussions about it. It makes me want to say, F my schedule and jump into whatever they're reading. I get that. But sometimes it's the other way around. You are only reading it because you want to be part of the conversation. You want to talk about what the new big book is or something like that. Or it's a series that's continued for a long time, and you're just like, I don't really want to do this, but I don't want to miss out on the discussion. I don't want to miss out, Just again, your fear of missing out. I mean, it's big. FOMO is huge, obviously, but again, if you're doing it and you still feel obligated to do it because everybody either expects you to do it, or hey, you've read 7 books and you feel like you got to. Again, there is so much stuff that we'll never get to read, and there's plenty of stuff out there that I think might click with you better. Don't waste it just because that's like staying in a toxic relationship, guys. Like, oh, well, I really should break up with this girl who's cheated on me 9 times, but we've been together for 4 years, and I feel like I throw away a lot of that equity. No, you're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself more than she's cheating on you, and I feel like if you're doing that with these books are cheating on you. So I don't think you should ever just read a series because you feel like you're obligated or you've been there too long. If you realize that's the only reason you're reading it, yeah, it's time to move along. I think it's easy to move along. There are far too many great books that we haven't even gotten to yet that are out there, never going to be discovered if you waste your time, because it's going to take you a long time to read that book you're not having any fun to doing either. So yeah, it's good to optimize your time, I do think. And one of the biggest ones for me, guys, is the series has lost its momentum. If you're reading that new book in a series and all you're doing is saying, I wish we could go back to the way that we were. I've had that so many times where I'll just go back and I'll just be so nostalgic for book 1 or 2 that really, really grabbed me and just was just so amazing, just wrapped me up in the series, this world. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was the last thing I thought about before I went to sleep. First thing I thought about when I woke up. I couldn't stop talking about it. I recommended it to all my friends. And then you're like on book 5 or 6 and you're just like, is this the same series? Now, authors change. We change. Sometimes it can take so many years for these things to come out. Sometimes they're fluffing up the story a little bit, getting that page count up there. They say, hey, you know what? This was a trilogy when I started, but I think I'm going to push it to 5 books, maximize that value. It can happen. The story can kind of get away from authors sometimes. And I'm not going to pretend that I have a problem with that. It's your story. I am not an author. I'm not telling authors what to do. I'm saying as a reader, I look at that and say, I don't think I'm going to be able to follow. I can't. You're going down a road I can't follow, Anakin. You're breaking my heart, I think. But for example, and I said I wasn't going to name a lot of series here, and I hate to be the second one to go at Brandon Sanderson here. I think as you can see, the older I get, the more fantasy series I read, I'm starting to find myself floating away from the ℙ𝕦𝕣𝕠𝕟 a little bit. And I think that's just because you go and look at what Wind and Truth was. It just came out. And you compare that to The Way of Kings or Words of Radiance, it's like, is this really the same series? Because I could not get enough of those first 2 books. That world was so amazing, I could not stop thinking about it. And I was really, really just like, this doesn't feel the same. I think at this halfway point, at the end of this first arc of Stormlight Archive, it's okay. I think I'm going to kind of walk away and, I'm going to do it on my own terms instead of just feeling like, oh, I'm being forced to quit. Hey, it's just the series just isn't for me anymore, and that's fine. Brandon's earned the right to do what he wants to do, and I feel like as readers, we have the right to say, you're going down a path I cannot follow, and I feel like that's the kind of the way that series went. So I think if a series, you feel like the series has lost its momentum, and again, guys, if you think that Stormlight Archive is still as amazing as it was before, awesome. I'm happy for you. I want you to enjoy things. I'm just giving an example there. If you find yourself in book 5 or 6 of a series and you're like, this doesn't feel the same to me. I don't have the same energy and excitement I had when there was a new release. You're not counting down the days to the release of that new book in the series. I mean, is it really, really super exciting for you anymore? Series can lose their momentum. I've seen it happen in countless series that I have adored. I mean, some of my books of the year, some of my favorite series, and it gets to the point where I'm like, I can't believe that this is going from like my favorite series. It's like how I loved Thor Ragnarok, me and my kids. And then I was like, one movie later, Thor Love and Thunder, we couldn't even finish it, because sometimes things just lose momentum. They stay past their welcome a little bit. And if it just isn't exciting anymore, it's okay, I think, to kind of step away. The way I kind of look at it is with each new release. So say you enjoyed book 1 this much, you enjoyed book 2 even more, then book 3 was somewhere down here, then book 4 was down here, then book 5 is down here, book 6, it's like, I'm noticing a trend line here. If you're enjoying each new release less than the one before it, it's time to go. And at the end, it's just, do what works for you, obviously. For me, I have so many things I want to read. I'll never be able to get to all of them. And if I'm not enjoying your series because it's losing momentum, I'm going to find another series that's going to pick up that momentum. And that just is the way that it goes. So as for my final thoughts on this, obviously not real, again, this is just like good and the bad. There's not really an answer here. I think really it's just going to be what works for you. But I think in the end, do what works for you, but just know it's okay. No one's going to come get you if you don't finish that series. And if you want to take a long break, like I get people every video, when are you going to finish ℚ𝕤𝕤𝕣𝕠? Why don't you just quit if you're going to quit? If I was going to quit, I'd tell you I was going to quit. I have no problems letting you know that I'm going to quit a series. Sometimes you just need a break, and sometimes that break reaches 3 years. That's just the way it goes, because you want to read what makes you happy, what makes you excited, what you're really, really thrilled to get into. I said at that time, if I had forced myself to push through and finish ℚ𝕤𝕤𝕣𝕠, I'd have been hate reading it by the end. I didn't want to do that. I was liking the series a lot. Reaper's Gale just burned it out of me, so I took a break. But it was one of those where it's a difference between saying, okay, I can quit that series and just saying I need a break from that series. There are several other series I've been like, this ain't it anymore. And I've been able to walk away. And again, I'm not scared of ℚ𝕤𝕤𝕣 fans. I'll tell you, if I'm going to quit a series, I'll tell you I'm going to quit a series. But I see so many people just reading a book because they're invested. They say, I have spent so much time in this world. If I don't see it through to the end, it'll feel like a waste of time. No, it's a waste of time reading something that you're not enjoying. So no matter how popular it is, no matter who else is reading it, no matter what someone else's expectations are of you, it's okay to put that book down and just move on to another series. Because I think if you're like me and you're that guy in the meme that's like looking at that girl back there, that's your next read, that's a series you really want to do, but you've got this thing in front of you that you're just like, well, I'm kind of obligated to do this. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to pick up that other series. It really, really, truly is. But look, again, in the end, reading shouldn't be an obligation. That's really my whole point here. I want you to read what you're enjoying in that moment. Now, I know that seems kind of weird because I keep myself on a schedule. That's why I went down to monthly schedules instead of, doing about a quarter or 6 months in advance. I still kind of like loose plan that just because, I'm in finance. That's what we do. We do everything, 12 to 15 months in advance. But I never hold myself to these things. And I think that can really, really just burn you out a bit if you start saying, hey, I got to read this. It's like the people who are like, oh, I can't quit watching all these shows because I've got to watch this new episode of Loki, and then I've got like 2 episodes of Mandalorian to watch. Like, there's so much good stuff out there. And I always make the example towards TV and movies because I feel like it's easiest the most comparable thing I think I can think of with some of this stuff is these things shouldn't be a chore. Your hobbies should not be a chore. I want you to make sure you're reading what you enjoy in that moment. Now, if you're like me and you can't handle the chaos of being a mood reader, then limit yourself to 4 or 5 books in your plan. And you know what? Never be afraid to walk away from them. Like this month, guys, I planned 6 books. Wasn't feeling it the last couple of weeks. And I was like, you know what? That 6th book, I just read it whenever I can, whatever. It hurts. It hurts because I'm so organized, But again, I think in the end, like I said, do what works for you. But just don't ever feel obligated to read anything, man. Reading should not be an obligation. Every hobby that you have should be something that you enjoy doing, and reading is no different. So no matter how popular it is, no matter how many likes their Instagram post is getting or their book talk video talking about this new hotness, it's okay. If you're not having fun, man, that's what's going to keep you from getting burned out on reading something. Put it down, move on to something else, because there are millions of great series out there that some of us have not gotten to yet. I know I definitely have a long, long list of things I would like to try. So guys, that's where I stand. I'd love to know how you feel about it. So at what point do you find it okay to drop a series? I want you to hit me down below. I also want you to check out today's sponsor, guys, ℎ𝕬𝕤𝕤𝕤. I got the link in the description down below, $50 credit. Don't miss it. So hit me in the comments, guys, and I will talk to you there.